It was 7:58 on a Saturday. I remember that because the blinking oven clock in our mom's kitchen had just rolled over, the smell of burnt toast lingering from whatever breakfast disaster my stepdad had tried to scrape together. The wedding was at 2, and by that morning, everything in me felt like it had already been hollowed out. I was holding a suit bag with a broken zipper, the edge of the metal tooth digging into the web between my thumb and forefinger. It hurt a little, but I didn't let go, not then, because I needed to hold onto something that felt real. Across the table, Mom was buttering a muffin like nothing was wrong. "Did you find the tie?" she asked without looking up. I didn't answer right away. "Derek." "Yeah," I said, "I found it." She smiled like that fixed everything. Like the right shade of blue was going to make it okay that her daughter stole my future and her son was about to walk into the most expensive betrayal of his life, wearing a clearance rack tie and no gift in hand. "My name's Derek Harris. I turned 19 2 months ago. Until last week, I thought I was going to be the first person in my family to go to college." That changed with one signature and a shrug. "Her name is Amanda, my sister. She's 26, engaged to a guy named Brad who sells real estate and uses the word networking like it's a spiritual belief. Amanda's always been the kind of person who plans 3 steps ahead even when nobody asked her to. Birthday parties at age 10 came with Excel spreadsheets and centerpieces. High school prom, she printed out custom invites for her date. No joke. So when she got engaged, we all knew her wedding would be a production. What we didn't know, what I sure as hell didn't know, was that she would dig into the one thing I had coming to me, my college fund. 15 years of savings, bonds, and scraps from birthday cards, money our dad started before he passed away, a fund Mom promised to protect. And she didn't. It started with a phone call I wasn't meant to hear. I was in the hallway just past midnight. My earbuds had died, so I went downstairs for the charger. That's when I heard her voice, Amanda's, muffled through the office door. "I don't care what Derek thinks," she said. "He'll get scholarships, he's smart." My breath caught. There was silence, then Mom's voice, softer, more tired. "You know your father wanted that money for him." Another pause, a chair creaked. "Brad's parents already spent $30,000, Amanda hissed. "You want me walking in there like some broke charity case?" That was the first crack. I backed away from the door, charger still unplugged, and went back upstairs without making a sound. By morning, I'd convinced myself I misunderstood, that Amanda was just venting, that Mom would say no. She didn't. 4 days later, while I was at work slinging burgers at a strip mall grill to help pay for textbooks I'd researched for months, Amanda's wedding venue posted a photo. "Exclusive peek at the Williams-Harris ceremony site, Dove Ring." I saw the floral arch in the shot, recognized it from the binder Amanda used to keep on the coffee table. Then Mom called me. Her voice was careful, too careful. "I wanted you to hear from me," she said. "There's been a change. Amanda needed a little extra help, and since she's getting married soon and you're still young." The words blurred after that. All I could focus on was one sentence. "We used some of the fund." I asked how much. She hesitated. "All of it." I didn't go ballistic, not right away. I just sat down in the walk-in fridge behind the restaurant and stared at a box of frozen onion rings. That money was supposed to be for tuition, housing, books, a better life. I had plans, acceptance letters from 3 state schools, a 4th still pending. I had spreadsheets and essays and email chains with advisors. Now I had nothing. And Amanda was getting a catered shrimp tower and imported linen napkins. The worst part, nobody acted like it was theft, nobody apologized. Brad posted a reel the next day, him popping champagne on a yacht rental, tagging Amanda in the caption with "Power Couple Wedding Week." I wanted to comment, "Funded by Betrayal." But I didn't. Instead, I went quiet. That's what I do when something breaks, I study it. And I decided then I'd go to that wedding. But I wouldn't bring a gift. The morning of the ceremony, Mom offered me a lift. I said no, took the bus. She looked offended. "Your family, Derek." Funny, family used to mean something else. The church was small but upscale. Wooden pews, stained glass that caught the light like something holy. Brad's side arrived in full glam, Rolex watches, leather loafers, voices like stock market analysts. Our side was quieter. Cousin Mia helped her toddler wipe jelly from his cheek. Uncle Frank had already started sweating through his button-down. Amanda hadn't shown yet, but the music was playing strings and a harp, soft like a dream someone paid too much for. I found my seat in the back, next to a fake potted tree. My hands were empty. That was the point. I watched the others bring their wrapped boxes, their gift bags with gold tissue paper. I watched a bridesmaid usher them to the table set up with a sign that said "Bless the couple" in glitter calligraphy. Nobody noticed I had nothing. Not yet. At 1:22, the organist cleared her throat, a signal. People shifted. I heard the click of Amanda's heels before I saw her, then she stepped into view. Lace gown, hair curled into something impossibly perfect, her smile wide and practiced. She walked down the aisle like she owned it. Like she hadn't stolen a damn thing. Brad beamed. The priest started the service. I sat still. Not angry, not crying. Just watching. Until my phone buzzed. A text from my friend Joel. "You still coming to the dorm tour Monday? We got a shot at the work-study thing." I stared at the screen for a long time. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe I still had a shot. But I couldn't even afford the bus fare to campus anymore. When it was time for speeches, Amanda's voice went misty. "We couldn't have done this without the incredible generosity of our loved ones," she said. "Especially my family, my brother, he's the smartest guy I know, he inspires me." She looked at me. The spotlight followed. People turned. I didn't move. Didn't smile. Didn't clap. Just sat there silent, in my clearance suit with nothing in my lap. No card, no box, no envelope. Just me. Exactly what they left me with. I don't remember what Amanda said after that. I know there were laughs, a few tears, fake ones mostly, and more clapping. The kind of applause people give because they're supposed to, not because they feel anything. My name hung in the air like an afterthought, like a prop in her story. I waited until the attention shifted, until people were digging into their seats, whispering to each other about the cake or the DJ. Then I stood up, walked out without a word. I didn't slam the door, didn't make a scene, just left. It felt colder outside than I expected. August heat still pressed against the pavement, but inside me it was quiet, numb. I didn't know where to go. The buses weren't running to our part of town for another hour, so I walked. That's what I did a lot after Dad died, just walked. When Mom couldn't answer my questions and Amanda was busy being a star student, I'd go around the block. Circles, miles, no headphones, just my thoughts and the sound of my feet. This time they weren't thoughts, they were numbers. 42,378.26, that was the balance in the fund last spring. I saw it. $38,900, the wedding estimate Amanda mentioned offhand once, thinking I wasn't listening. $0, the answer I got when I called the bank last week to check if it was still in my name. It was. Turns out Mom had legal authority to move it. Because Dad never put any age lock on it before he passed. He trusted her. By the time I got home that night, my dress shoes had carved a raw spot in my heel. There was a patch of sweat down the back of my neck and my tie felt like a noose. I kicked the shoes off at the door and dropped my suit bag on the floor. The house smelled like hairspray and perfume, like Amanda had never left. Mom was in the kitchen rinsing wine glasses. She looked up, didn't say anything for a second, then. "Derek." That one word, like it was supposed to cover everything. I leaned against the doorway, watching her scrub lipstick off a rim. She glanced over her shoulder. "You disappeared." I didn't want to be part of the show. Her jaw tensed. "You could have stayed, she mentioned you in her speech." I actually laughed. It came out sharper than I meant. She mentioned me because it made her look generous. "She loves you." I stepped into the room slowly. "She used my college fund, Mom. She needed help. You're smart, you'll find another way." The way she said it, like it was a compliment, like I should be flattered. I stared at her. "Why didn't you tell me before you drained it?" She dried her hands on a towel. "You would have said no." I should have had that right. I'm your mother. I made a decision for both my kids. Both. That word hit harder than I expected. So that's what I am now, equal footing with Amanda. She flinched. I shook my head and turned away, went upstairs without saying goodnight. That was the last time I slept under their roof. I didn't sleep much, to be honest, mostly laid there in the dark, listening to the ceiling fan tick every time it rotated. Amanda's voice kept replaying in my head, the applause, the stupid way she beamed when she said, "my brother." I thought about packing everything and leaving that night, but I didn't have a plan, just a lot of rage. And $0. By morning, I made one decision: I wasn't staying. Not with them, not under the same roof where betrayal could be wrapped in brunch and called family. Joel let me crash on his couch. His apartment smelled like old pizza and boy detergent, but it was freedom. He didn't ask questions, just moved some laundry off the cushions and tossed me a spare blanket. "You good?" he asked. "No." "Okay," he said, "good enough for now." I appreciated that. I still had my acceptance letters, even if I had no way to use them. That week I called every financial aid office I could, explained what happened. Some were sympathetic, most said the deadlines had passed. "You can defer a year," one woman said, voice all chipper. "Work, save up, come back stronger." I hung up. I wasn't angry at her, I was angry that it made sense. Amanda texted me 3 days after the wedding. "Hey Amanda. Hey, didn't get a chance to really talk at the wedding. Hope you're okay, 2 hearts, wanna grab coffee sometime this week." She used the heart emoji like we were girls on Instagram. I didn't answer. 4 hours later she followed up. "Hey Amanda. I know it sucks about the fund, I didn't want to use it, but Brad's family has high standards. You'll understand someday." I stared at that message for a long time. You'll understand someday. Like blowing up your sibling's future was some rite of passage. I wanted to reply, I typed out a dozen things, some cruel, some clinical. Deleted all of them. Instead I blocked her. Mom tried next. "Mom, I miss you, please come home, we can talk about everything." I didn't block her. But I didn't reply either. Joel's place became my halfway world. I picked up extra shifts at the grill, started biking to work since I couldn't afford bus fare every day, ate off-menu leftovers and protein bars when Joel wasn't home. I researched trade schools. Looked into community colleges with rolling admissions. Started tutoring kids in math and bio on the side, $20 here, 40 there. My savings grew slowly, but I made a plan. Amanda took everything. But she didn't take my ability to rebuild. One night, 2 weeks after the wedding, I ran into someone unexpected. I was on my break sitting behind the strip mall, chewing on a microwaved burrito, when I saw a familiar car pull up near the salon 2 doors down. Amanda. She stepped out in sunglasses and wedge heels, carrying a gift bag. For someone else, apparently. She didn't see me until I stood up. When she did, she froze. "Derek." I didn't answer. She walked over slowly, awkward. "You've been ignoring me." "Yep." She sighed, dramatic. "Look, I know you're upset, but you didn't ask." I didn't think I needed to. We're family. It's not like I took it for myself. It was for a once-in-a-lifetime moment. "Yeah," I said, "so was college." She rolled her eyes. "God, Derek, you act like I lit the money on fire. I used it for a wedding, for love." I stood there, burrito half-eaten, stomach turning. "You used it for optics." She blinked. "Excuse me." "You needed to impress Brad's family, so you sacrificed mine." Amanda's lips parted. For once, she didn't have a comeback. I stepped around her. "I didn't bring a gift," I said, "but I did bring the truth." I wish I could say that moment fixed things. It didn't. But it did change something. Because the next morning I got a call from a woman named Darla at the local community college. She'd read my application, saw my essay, and said something rare had happened. One of the scholarship winners dropped out unexpectedly. "If you can enroll by Friday," she said, "we'll cover your first semester." I didn't breathe for a few seconds. Then I said yes. I still needed help for housing. So I reached out to someone I hadn't spoken to in years, my dad's old friend, Mr. Rivera. He'd coached my little league team once back when Dad was still around. After the funeral, he gave me a card and said, "If you ever need to talk or need a place to crash, come find me." I found him. He didn't hesitate. You'll bunk in the garage, he said, handing me a spare key. It's got Wi-Fi and a futon. I nearly cried. But I didn't. That weekend, I moved my things, what little I had, into the garage. I started classes Monday. No pomp, no glitter, no harp music. Just me, a cheap backpack, and a spiral notebook. And when the professor asked our names, I raised my hand. Derek Harris. No applause, no stage. But for the first time since the wedding, I felt like I was finally walking toward something that belonged to me. The garage smelled like old paint and dryer sheets the first week I moved in. There were tools on the wall, a stack of old newspapers in the corner, and a futon that creaked every time I turned over. But it was mine. Not in the ownership sense, but in the way that mattered more. Nobody could take it from me. Mr. Rivera was one of those guys who spoke in short sentences but always made them count. He didn't ask what happened with Amanda, just set a bowl of chili in front of me that first night and said, "Don't spill it on the quilt, that's for my wife." She passed a few years back, but her presence was everywhere. Crocheted pillows, a calendar of cardinal birds, a gentle hum in the way he closed cabinets like someone might still be sleeping. I respected that. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. College wasn't what I imagined, not at first. Community college didn't have the brick archways or the lush lawns like the brochures from my original pics, but it had people like me, kids holding down jobs, watching siblings, working through classes between shifts. I met Jamal in my intro psychology class. He wore his pizza delivery shirt to every lecture and still managed to get A's on every test. Then there was Ellie, tattoos, black nail polish, and a laugh that made the professor wince every time she used it during group discussions. We became a trio by accident, ended up on the same study team. They never asked me where I was supposed to be. They just accepted I was there. Meanwhile, Amanda's world kept posting itself online. Her honeymoon photos were everywhere. Bora Bora, candlelit dinners, matching robes in a villa that probably cost more per night than my entire semester tuition. I blocked her on every platform. Didn't stop the algorithms from showing me her face now and then. And every time I saw her in another glitter-filtered video talking about manifesting joy or staying aligned with your goals, I felt something twist in me. Not anger. Not grief. Something quieter, a sense of distance. Like we had once shared a childhood, and now she was someone I might not recognize on the street. Mom kept trying. Texting every other week. Mom, made your favorite casserole tonight, I'll save you a plate. Mom, saw your old hoodie, made me smile. Mom, the house feels too quiet without you. I didn't respond, not yet. Not because I wanted to punish her, I just didn't know what version of me she was reaching out to, the son she remembered or the one she'd failed to protect. Mr. Rivera gave me a part-time gig helping him with his handyman jobs, hauling materials, measuring drywall, watching him jury-rig lawnmower repairs with zip ties and confidence. One afternoon, we were replacing a broken mailbox at a client's house. I was hammering the post in when he spoke out of nowhere. You know your dad used to suck at this stuff. I paused mid-swing. Really? Worse than you, he said, but he showed up every Saturday, made coffee so strong I swear my eyebrows curled. I smiled. He didn't look at me when he added, "He'd be proud of you, you know that, right?" I swallowed hard. Didn't say anything. But that night, I wrote in my journal for the first time in months. One Thursday afternoon, while walking past the student center, my phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. Brad. Hey man, it's Brad, Amanda's husband, can we talk? I stopped walking. My first instinct was to delete it. But something about it gnawed at me. He'd never contacted me before, never tried to reach out, even during the whole fund fiasco. Curiosity won. Me. What do you want? A minute later. Brad. I didn't know what Amanda did until after the wedding. I thought your mom paid for it. I stood outside the library, rereading that message 5 times. Then another one came in. Brad. I know this doesn't fix anything, but I want to make it right. Can we meet? Joel thought it was a setup. Dude, probably looking to clear his conscience before tax season. Ellie said I should go. Worst case, he sucks, but maybe he owes you a steak dinner. I texted back. At me. Fine, Saturday 4 p.m. that cafe on 10th. He showed up 5 minutes early. Same overconfident posture, same slicked back hair, but something in his eyes was off, not smug, tired maybe. He didn't shake my hand. Just sat. Thanks for coming, he said. I nodded. He ordered black coffee, I didn't order anything. After a long pause, he said, I found out about the fund a week after we got back from the honeymoon. Amanda slipped up during an argument, said something about how you'd be fine, you always land on your feet. I said nothing. She told me your mom signed off on it, that it was fair game since it wasn't locked. I kept my eyes on him, and you didn't know before. No, he said, honestly I didn't think it was real at first, but then I saw the paperwork. He pulled something out of his coat pocket, a folded bank statement. I didn't touch it. He pushed it toward me. She emptied the whole thing, he said, transferred it through your mom's account, made it look like wedding expenses on paper, didn't even tell me until after. I raised an eyebrow, and now what, you feel guilty? Yes, he said, quiet, but not just for the money. He looked me in the eye. I feel guilty because I let her paint you like the villain, said you were dramatic, said you hated weddings, said you didn't appreciate what family sacrifices. I scoffed. He leaned forward. I didn't marry the person I thought I did, he said, and I'm starting to think you lost more than money, you lost your family. I clenched my jaw. You think? He nodded, I'm not asking for forgiveness, I just want to give something back. I blinked. He slid an envelope across the table. I sold my dirt bike last week. It was a wedding gift from my brother. Figured I don't deserve it if the wedding costs someone else his future. I opened the envelope. Inside a check, $4,000. Not the full fund, not even close. But more than I expected from the guy who once ordered 10 bottles of champagne for a beach photo shoot. I don't want strings, he said, just wanted you to know not everyone in that mess agreed with what happened. I pocketed the check. Didn't say thank you. Didn't shake his hand either. But when I left the cafe, my chest felt a little less heavy. That night I called Joel. Want to split rent next semester? He laughed, you finally moving in? Maybe, I said, turns out I might not need a futon forever. I didn't deposit the check right away. $4,000 was more than I'd seen in one place in a long time, but it wasn't just about the money, it was about what it represented. A tiny, dented apology from someone who hadn't even pulled the trigger, just stood there while the shot was fired. Still, a dented apology was more than I'd gotten from Amanda. I kept the envelope tucked inside one of my psych textbooks. Didn't tell anyone, not Joel, not Mr. Rivera, not even Ellie and Jamal. I just held it like proof that I hadn't imagined the betrayal, that someone somewhere saw what had been done to me. It gave me time to think about what I wanted to do next. Not with the money. With the wound. One Saturday, about 2 months after the wedding, I went home. Not to move back in, just to see it. I stood on the sidewalk across from the house for a good 5 minutes, watching the shadows shift in the windows. The yard looked the same, overgrown hedges, sun-bleached gnome by the porch, a sagging wind chime that hadn't rung in years. But it didn't feel like home. It felt like a place I used to believe in. I knocked anyway. It took a while for the door to open. And then there she was. Mom. She looked smaller than I remembered, not physically, just diminished. She didn't say anything at first, just stared at me like she wasn't sure if I was real or some ghost from her better choices. Finally, she opened the screen door. Derek. I nodded. Hey. We stood there a second longer. Then she stepped aside. Come in. I hesitated. Then I did. The living room hadn't changed. Same couch, same smell of lemon cleaner, same crooked photo of Amanda's prom night hanging by the stairs. I didn't sit. She motioned toward the kitchen and I followed. She poured 2 glasses of water, like we were meeting after a jog. I've been texting, she said, setting the cup in front of me. I know. I thought maybe. She trailed off. I came to talk, I said, but I need you to listen first. She nodded, sat down. I didn't raise my voice, didn't throw accusations. I told her plainly what it had cost me. Not just money, but the betrayal of trust, the erosion of family, the way she'd reduced me to a line item on Amanda's budget spreadsheet. I worked for that future, I said, and you let her buy a centerpiece with it. Her eyes filled, but she didn't interrupt. I know Amanda's your daughter, but so am I. That stopped her. And for the first time, I saw it land. She cried then. Not loud sobs, just the kind of crying you do when you're finally realizing something you can't undo. I thought I was helping, she whispered. I thought you bounced back. I did, I said, but not because of you. Silence. Then she reached across the table. I didn't take her hand. But I didn't pull away when her fingers brushed mine. She told me Amanda and Brad had started couples counseling. That Amanda had asked about me. That she'd called once and cried when I didn't answer. I didn't say much to that. Some wounds needed more than time, they needed change. And Amanda hadn't changed. When I left that day, Mom handed me something wrapped in tissue paper. I know it's small, she said, but I found it in your dad's box, thought you should have it. It was a watch. Not expensive, just old, the leather strap cracked, the face scratched. But it ticked, and it had his initials carved on the back. The H. I wore it home. 2 weeks later, I saw Amanda again. Not on purpose. She showed up at the college. Apparently, Brad had convinced her to take a few continuing education courses. I was walking out of the library when I saw her by the vending machines, tapping her phone like it owed her something. She looked up and saw me. And froze. Derek. I nodded. She stepped forward. I didn't think I'd see you here. I go here. Right. She smiled, it didn't reach her eyes. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I crossed my arms. I don't think you know what for. She paused. I used your fund, I lied. I tried to make it seem like it was okay. I said nothing. I thought if you were mad at Mom, I wouldn't have to carry it all. There it was. The truth finally. Not pretty, not polished, but real. I waited. I was jealous, she added softer, of how Dad talked about you, how proud he was. Even when you were in middle school, he said, that boy's going to change this family. I hated how easy it seemed for you. Easy, I said. Her face crumpled a little. I know now it was. I wanted to feel important too. I thought the wedding would make me that. I looked at her for a long time. I hope it did, I said, because it cost you a brother. I walked away before she could answer. Not out of cruelty. Out of self-respect. Sometimes forgiveness is earned by letting someone feel the absence they created. Fall turned into winter. Joel and I found a cheap apartment closer to campus. 1 bedroom, 1 leaky shower, and a shared kitchen with a broken toaster. We made it work. I kept tutoring, kept working with Mr. Rivera on weekends. I deposited Brad's check in a savings account and let it sit. One afternoon, Jamal and Ellie threw me a halfway through the semester celebration. $2 store balloons and a cookie with my name spelled wrong. But it was mine. All of it. Earned, not given. And never stolen. I turned 20 the same week our faucet started leaking. Joel tried to fix it with duct tape and the wrong kind of wrench. We ended up flooding the cabinet under the sink and had to call Mr. Rivera, who patched it up in 20 minutes flat and charged us dinner as payment. We laughed about it later, sitting on overturned crates in our kitchen, eating reheated burritos and store-brand birthday cake. No big parties, no family. But it was the best birthday I'd had in years. Because nobody took anything from me that day. Because everything I had, I built. Classes picked up, I started looking into transferring next year. One of my professors, Dr. Langley, pulled me aside after class one day, said my paper on trauma and family systems was the most quietly furious thing she'd read all semester. I asked if that was good. She smiled. It means it matters. She offered to write me a recommendation. Said she'd helped students transfer to bigger universities before, ones with more resources. Ones that had dorms with real walls instead of paper-thin insulation and the constant smell of cup noodles. It felt like someone had cracked a window in my life, like maybe air was starting to circulate again. Amanda sent one more message before Christmas. Just a photo. A wrapped box. No note. No explanation. I almost deleted it. But something in me, curiosity, maybe made me zoom in. The label said, "To Derek. From Dad." It was old. I could tell by the paper, worn, faded, the corners curled, like it had been sitting in some closet for years. I showed it to Mom the next time I visited. She blinked hard when she saw it. I didn't know she found that. "What is it?" "I'm not sure. He bought gifts months in advance sometimes, said it helped him feel organized." She paused. I thought I lost that one. Amanda hadn't opened it. That mattered more than I wanted to admit. A week later, there was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, Amanda stood there. No makeup, no filters, hair tied back. She didn't have the box with her, just a card. "I'm not staying," she said. I wanted you to read this when you're ready." I didn't take it. "Not right away." "I'm not ready to forgive you," I said. She nodded. I figured. "Or Mom." Another nod. "I'm not trying to fix it anymore," she said, "just trying to own it." Her voice cracked on that last word. I took the card. Then closed the door. Inside, I sat on the futon and stared at it. Took me an hour to open it. It was handwritten, a little messy. She said she was going back to school part-time, said counseling with Brad was brutal but eye-opening, said she started writing about the wedding, not for a blog, not for likes, just to process. She admitted she was selfish, that she didn't understand consequences until she saw me walk out of the church empty-handed and silent. At the end, she wrote, "If I could give it back, I would. I can't, but I can start paying attention now. I hope one day you'll let me prove it." She didn't sign it with hearts or emojis. Just her name. Amanda. I didn't write back. But I didn't throw it away either. Some things take time, not to forget but to soften. Spring semester brought change. Jamal transferred to a state university. Ellie got a paid internship at a social work nonprofit. Joel met someone and stopped leaving his socks on the floor. And I got accepted to state with a partial scholarship and Dr. Langley's full endorsement. I stared at the acceptance email for 10 straight minutes, letting every word sink in. I'd done it. Without a gift. Without a fund. Without applause. Just me. The night before I moved, Mr. Rivera sat with me in the garage. We didn't say much. Just passed a bottle of ginger ale back and forth. Before bed, he handed me a small box. Inside was a pocket knife with my initials carved into the handle. "Your dad gave me that," he said to hold on to it until you were ready to carve your own path. I ran my thumb along the groove in the wood. "Thank you," I said. He just nodded. The last time I saw Mom before leaving town, we met at the diner near the mall. Same booth we used to sit in when I was a kid, same torn leather seat. She looked older. I probably did too. She didn't bring up the fund. Didn't ask for forgiveness. Just handed me a new thermos. "For your walks to class," she said. It was blue. Dad's favorite color. Amanda and I didn't say goodbye. But I left the unopened gift from Dad on her porch. With a note. Some things aren't meant to be opened by the wrong people. Derek. I didn't leave a return address. College is hard. I won't lie. Some nights I still wonder what life would have looked like if Amanda hadn't touched that fund. If I'd gone to the original school, lived in the dorms, had a roommate named Kyle who skateboarded and played acoustic guitar badly. But then I remember. Every ounce of this version of my life, every class, every rented book, every long shift I worked to afford it, was mine. Built from scratch. And nobody could take it this time. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.